Mr. Kevin Begg.
Good evening. How are we all tonight? I now see what Rolando felt last night. What a bunch of scary people. My name is Kevin Begg. I'm more commonly known as the man with the red hat. And this is my third remote. But before I start to tell you a little bit about my journey, about the journey that I have lived through on my estancia, on my family estancia, about the Gauchos and the Gaucho community and the culture of Argentina and the pampas of Argentina, I'd like to show you just a very short video. A short video about the actual Gauchos who live on my estancia, the Gauchos whose fathers worked for my father and whose grandfathers worked for my grandfather. Can we just put that on, please?
The essence of Estancia Los Potreros is the keeping alive of that Gaucho tradition of Argentina.
Ser un gaucho es algo de nacimiento, es algo con lo que ya venís adentro.
Y un poco dura hasta que le agarra el ritmo un poco, ¿ya? Tienen que aguantar nomás.
Historically, Gauchos traveled from farm to farm, working their way across the pampas of Argentina. A farm like this demands a certain amount of work. The Gauchos are very involved in the day-to-day of the management of that herd.
El compañerismo del gaucho y el caballo es algo muy importante. Un gaucho sin caballo no es un gaucho.
Yo empecé de muy chico, yo venía con mi padre aquí al lado de la estancia Los Potreros.
The Gauchos on the estancia are all young lads. Their fathers have worked here, and in some cases their grandfathers have worked for my father and my grandfather. The stories of Argentina are built around those men. Their horses, their experiences, their life. And that really makes this estancia.
Thank you. The estancia dates back to 1574 when the Spanish arrived in the plains of Córdoba and into the hills that we live in now. It is a typical estancia of Argentina, but slightly different, I would say, at the same time. My name is Kevin. But when I was born in Buenos Aires, we had a military regime and you could only choose the names from a very short list. So my official name in Argentina is Lucas. There are 3 other Lucases on the estancia today, all Gauchos. Maybe it was the first one on the list. I'm no Gaucho. I may wear a Gaucho's hat. I was brought up on the estancia as a very young child. When I was 10, I was sent to England. That's why I speak with an English accent. I was sent to boarding school, not for misbehaving, but just because of tradition. I then became a banker. I traveled the world. I lived in far-flung places, such as Milan, Madrid, Hong Kong. But in 2001, I returned to Argentina. I returned with a German bank. Argentina went into meltdown just as I arrived. Not because of my arrival, not because of another military regime, but because of economic stupidity. We had 5 presidents in 5 days. Banks closed for weeks. When they opened, most of them were bankrupt. My German bank ran home. Kevin lost his job. But I felt that I would give Argentina a bit longer than 6 months. My parents were getting old. They were living on the Estancia, and I decided to go up there for a weekend. That weekend is now 25 years. I remember getting there that first weekend, and I saw a horse, got onto it. I hadn't ridden a horse for many, many years. His name was Negro el Once, Black 11. I'm told it's a lucky number. But something happened. I felt that I had reached home again. Not intellectually, but I had a feeling, it was an instinct, that this was what I was meant to do. I also felt a huge responsibility, not to take over the estancia from my parents, but I felt that what I had to do was recreate what my childhood was. And I'll explain why in a second. I was asked if that was my epiphany. I'm not sure what that means. I was asked if that was the day I became a gaucho. Sadly, not. You're born a gaucho. It's in your blood. It is something that I think you cannot learn or even acquire over time. My childhood friends were the kids of the gauchos. We ran, we rode horses, we went to school together. Many times, 3 of us on one horse. No saddle, just a little cloth over the horse. Many times we didn't actually reach the school. But I do not pretend to be a gaucho. Some people could say that maybe I'm wrong in saying this, but a bit like American cowboy culture, wearing a Stetson on a weekend. I'm a weekend gaucho. But real gaucho culture is something different. It's very much deeper. It's about quiet competence. It's about pride without show. It's about loyalty to the family and to the land that my gauchos live on. It's not only the gaucho. The gaucho society, the gaucho community is a matriarchal society. The household and the finances of a gaucho community are run by the wife, by the mother. She is called the china. And I'll explain later on, but not up here, why she's not called a gaucha. It means something else in Argentina. It's about, I remember seeing the gauchos working with the cattle. It's about the pride they have in what they do. It's about them not having to explain to the patron, the owner, what they're doing. It's about passing that knowledge on from generation to generation. It's the chinas running the household, the way they cook, the way they prepare the traditional food. But above all, it's about the responsibility they have to pass this knowledge from generation to generation. Argentina is about the pampas. It's about the estancias of our country. We will talk, I'm sure, in our meetings in the next couple of days about Buenos Aires and tango and Iguazu Falls and the most fabulous wine in Mendoza, which it is. But the traditions of Argentina, the wealth of Argentina that allowed Buenos Aires to grow to what it is today comes from the beef industry, from the estancias of the Pampas and the Sierras of central Argentina, and those traditions that those gauchos carry on today. It is true that this gaucho culture is under pressure. Farms have become very much more efficient. Families have moved to the cities. Technology is replacing tradition. My cows have a microchip in their ear. It tells me everything here. I can know where they're going. Don't worry, Apple will have one for humans as well. But when I arrived that first weekend on the estancia, my father's head man came to see me. His name was Lucas as well. He happens to be my head man today. He was wearing a New York Yankees cap. And I asked him 2 questions, actually. I asked him, did he know who the New York Yankees were? And he immediately said, yes, of course, boss. They're an American soccer team. And I thought I wouldn't ask anymore. But I did ask him why he wore such a cap. And he said to me that sadly, the wear, the clothing, the traditional apparel of a gaucho had become such a fashion statement, not only in Argentina, but across the world, that he could no longer afford it. You used to go to the hardware store and buy the horseshoes and your espadrilles and your boinas all in the same place. But he could no longer afford that. And that is the feeling that I got of the estancia, that we had to generate some way extra income to copy the golden ages of the beef industry of Argentina, to allow these families to have decent jobs back in the estancia. My answer was tourism. It was easy. It was part of my family. Both my father and my sister owned a DMC in Buenos Aires. I ran to my sister and I explained the plan. She said, go back to Germany and get a job in banking. Yeah. Los Pots, as we're affectionately known today, is not a hotel. It definitely is not a spa. It's a place where you come to partake. Okay, I have luxury rooms and fancy bathrooms and chefs that will cook anything you want. But it's not about that. It's about joining, riding, working with the cattle, walking into our kitchen and learning the traditions of Argentina. That's someone calling me. Yeah. Daniel telling me to shut up, I think. Yeah. It's about a sense of connection. It's about a sense of connection with the gauchos, the chinas, the land, but it's also about a sense of connection with oneself. I think that is one of the reasons why some of our guests come back so many years. It's something that they feel part of. Argentina and the estancias of Argentina are a business. There are cattle ranches, there are arable farms, they're a family story like ours. But above all, they're a place where a community is alive today. The reality is that gaucho culture is under pressure. I believe it's evolving, and tourism has allowed us to keep that evolving community back on the estancias of Argentina. It's about sustaining that way of life by creating these jobs. It is not a performance. We do not perform in front of our guests. We ask them to come and participate. And my clock is telling me to shut up, so I will shut up. The story of the New York Yankee baseball cap, do you see, I do know it's a baseball team. Yeah, I think, yes, is a true story. But today our gauchos and our chinas again wear their traditional apparel on our estancias, not because they have to, because they want to and they can afford to with pride. Thank you very much. Thank you.